This is testing the mic to make sure that it works. I'm just testing this mic to make sure it works. Alright, so what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be taking this ammo can and I'm going to be turning it into a propane fire pit. So materials of what you need to do this, to make this work, is an ammo can. Now these come in different sizes, so you can make it bigger or smaller. Just depends on what size you have. Like a 50 cal ammo can is a little bit bigger than this. But then also you need some black iron pipe. There's other pipes that you can use, there's other methods to do this, but the way that I'm doing it here is with black iron pipes. So these right here are 2-inch black iron pipes, are threaded on both sides with the male end, and then you'll need 3 female end T's. And then some end caps, you'll need 4 end caps. 2 of these, they're called nipples, and they're just threaded on both sides, so it's a coupler for connecting 2 sides together. And then this is your adapter. It's going to go down from a 1/2 inch to a 3/8. Now the reason for that is coming off of the hose is actually also a 3/8. But the air mixer, and you want to use one of these air mixers, this is a 1/2 inch, and maybe you can find one of these in a 3/8, but I couldn't. The point of the air mixer, what it does is it has these little holes right here, and the gas flows this direction. And if you look inside, there's holes right there. It kind of acts as like jetting. So as the gas flows through here, it pulls in air as well, and it mixes the air with the propane. Gives you a much cleaner burn, so you don't get like that black sooty smoke that comes off of propane if you don't have one of these. So this is a good thing to have. One other thing that you want is this yellow thread sealant tape. And it's specifically for gas lines like propane and stuff like that. These black iron pipes aren't going to necessarily seal on their own very well at all, and you don't want to have leaks everywhere and stuff like that, right? Typically the yellow thread sealant tape is for gas, but it'll say on there, like this one literally says for oils, propane, butane, naphtha, benzene, so that's for gases. So pretty simple process. What we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole through here on the bottom, and then this is going to be, all the pipes in here are going to be an H shape inside there, and this will be on the outside like this, and the adapter will be on the inside like that. And there's sandwich the ammo can between these 2 pieces. So, and then for that, sometimes you're not going to be able to close up the gap completely just because of the way these black iron pipes are. And so I have some washers to act as spacers if need be. So let's go ahead and get into that. And then also you'll want some adjustable wrenches as well, to kind of tighten things down and stuff like that. You can also use like vice grips, but you want to be careful on these threads. So if you do use something like vice grips, make sure to cover it with like some cardboard or something like that to kind of pad those threads and protect them. I'm going to put the hole where the air mixer is going to go in there on this side where it hinges open, so that it doesn't interfere with the little handle on this side. Alright, this is where a deburring tool comes in handy. Alright, so that fits in there perfectly. So all I did was on my step drill, I just marked with a Sharpie the last layer that I wanted to hit. So I want to still see that Sharpie line when it's in there deep enough. So it turned out to be about a, let's see, 7/8 hole is what this ended up fitting in, and it fits pretty perfectly. So we'll clean that up with a file a little bit before we put everything in, but there's our hole. So another thing that you'll want to do as well is you want to have kind of vents on the side, some sort of holes. You can do some sort of pattern or whatever you want to do, but you want to have some vents on the side so there's kind of room for it to breathe, so the flame's not just coming straight up, and heat can dissipate a little bit easier. So that's the next thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to make some sort of lines on here and mark them out, and probably just do some staggered holes. I thought about doing like the 7 slots, like the Jeep logo on there, something like that, but I've decided against that because it's going to be a lot more work, but also I don't want to mess and make any parts of this flimsy, so I'm just going to put some basic holes through here. And that'll be good enough. So now that the can is finished, and there's the hole for the mixer to go through, and then we got the little side holes here, and just kind of did them in a little offset pattern on both sides, and then I kind of filed them down and cleaned them up with the deburring tool. They're still a little bit rough on the inside, but not too bad. So now we're done with this for a second. We're going to start prepping all the pipes. So you got 5 of these 2 or 3 inch pipes. Now, depending on what size can you have is what size of these pipes you're going to need. And then you're going to need 4 caps if you're going to do it in the H pattern, which is how I'm going to do it. So we're gonna put the thread sealant on all of the male ends of these, which I'm actually going to take my gloves off for that part. And then we'll just start tightening everything down in. Now, I already did this before, but what you want to do before you start putting the thread sealant on it is making sure that you can tighten everything down and arrange it in a way that it fits down inside the can and it's not touching the sides or anything like that. Now, like I said, I've already done that, so we're going to go ahead and just start putting it together. And then once it's together, then we'll drill the holes in the individual pipes because we'll know what's going to be the top and what's going to be the bottom. So all these threads are going to get this. What is your secret method for applying thread sealant tape like this so that it like doesn't spin off as you're trying to tighten it down? Because see how I'm having to hold it down with my finger? I'm willing to bet that somebody knows of a way to apply this without having to be so tedious about it like I am. Like there's some way to just wrap it around real quick or something like that. How do you do it? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. These little ammo can propane burners are pretty cool, and I was looking at them when I was at Overland Expo, and there's some really nice ones out there that you can get that are pre-built, but they're honestly expensive for what they are, and that's why I like to make my own stuff anyways. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you'd probably figure that out. But it's kind of hard for me to justify spending, $500, $400 on an ammo can propane fire pit when, it's ultimately it is kind of small, right? If I'm going to spend $500 on a propane fire pit, I kind of expect something a little bit bigger, I guess. I don't know. It just seems overpriced to me. It only cost me probably about $65-$75 to get all this stuff put together. So it's kind like I said, it just makes it kind of hard for me to justify spending $400, $500, and I get it. I mean, that's it's if you know how to do it and you have the tools to do it, it's always cheaper to make your own stuff like this. But for something so simple to make, this might not be as nice as one of them that you can buy pre-made, right? They're made a little bit better than this is. But it'll get the job done, I feel like. We'll find out. Or it'll just be a complete failure and I wasted my money and time, which I'm also fine with. There's all that. I don't need to put on any more thread sealant. So, this is where the air mixer will connect through the box, okay? So the box will sit right in there. Coming off of that, there's going to be a pipe. Go ahead and thread that pipe in. Now from there, it needs to tee off to go out to the 2 different sections of the H. So from here, everything's going to have to be tight enough that it's flat right here. So, nipple, 2-sided nipple, is going to go into this part right here. So there we are right there. That's the first T section. Now on both sides of this, T section, T section. And these need to be parallel with each other. They need to be flat on the same level. There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now, put these end caps on, and then just start screwing these into the T's. All right, so you can see that here. Kind of flatten that out now. So those are completely flat with each other. It's all flat. And then we can see how well it fits inside our ammo can. Pretty much takes up the whole space, which is perfect. All right. So now what we'll do is we'll drill the holes in the top. So I'm not going to drill holes in this part right here, just on these wings out here, because I want the flame to be even. And I've seen it where people drill the holes right here as well. And what ends up happening is that one side of the flame is more than the other side, and it kind of, I don't know, whatever. It works the same way either way, but I just want those holes in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill them a little bit at an angle so that the flames are kind of pushing, they're not pushing straight up, but they're kind of pushing like this, right? Now, a method that you could use, that I'm going to try not to use, is you could take a grinder to this right here and make a little flat surface to make it easier to drill your holes. I'm going to try and just use the center punch to give myself a little divot to start my holes and just punch them through. We'll see how that goes. Okay, there we go. So there's all the holes drilled in it, and we're ready to install these into the can itself. So we'll go ahead and just plop her down in there. Now, this part's important. You can put this air mixer on. There's an arrow on it. There should be an arrow on it that tells you which way the gas is supposed to flow. Like I said, another way to tell if there's not an arrow on it is those holes should be on the inside or on the outside of what you're doing, right? So the gas is flowing this way, and then there's holes on the inside, and as it flows by, it pulls air through those little holes. There we go. I would say that's good. So, here it is. It's in there. Be leveled out a little bit more. It's in there. There's the mixer. We'll go ahead and put the adapter. Now, the way that I set this up is that I can fit the hose inside the box. I can put the lid on it, close it, and it's just one package right there. There's my propane fire pit. Okay, so I already tested it out to see if it was going to work, and I'm going to have to redo all the paint on the outside of the can, because as you can see, it's burning off and flaking off, which is totally fine. But I'm just going to strip the rest of the paint off and paint it some other color with some sort of high heat enamel, like barbecue paint or engine block paint or something like that, but this paint just burnt right off. So I'm going to fire it up again, and I can show you guys how well it works. There we go. All right. So that's about as low as it'll go. It's blowing out because of the wind. And then there's a good height right there, but look, this is kind of why I want to do the bigger holes, is because if I crank it up, I can really get that thing going. It's a bit ridiculous and unnecessary to have it that high though. So there you go. There's a decent height right there. So you can kind of see the tubes in there, and you can kind of see from here that you kind of have two concentrations of flames, which you could drill some holes in the T's and get extra flames in there. But I think what I'll do is I'll add some sort of grate system over the top of the pipes, and then I can put, you know, like those propane fire pit rocks, like the little lava rocks on there, and that'll help kind of evenly distribute out where the flame goes. So, but yeah, there you go. You see these little holes on there, and there it is. There's our fire pit. Good to go. Thanks for watching, guys.